Hi guys, I think I have something good and positive that I was trying to project out to show you a real example of me experiencing some antidepressant qualities that I can project onto the screen. I mean, they only last for a bit. Like, it only lasts for a bit before the next coincidence gets you down. That's how spiritual people tend to think. So, yeah. I finally was able to, on the medication that I take and everything, I finally was able to lift weights and beat some of the depression. So I have a new idea. My mind thinks, oh, well, let's share some of the energy. And a lot of what you look at is my theory is that just simple business goes wrong. You can only mimic this so many times in all these corporate ladders and like be this way and do that. You can only mimic it so many times. But if someone has a bad attitude that they keep going back to, if they're shown the way to beat the bad attitude, to gain spiritual respects, and they keep going back and be like, but all this negative stuff, there's nothing else you can install or say. There's something about that. I don't even, like, on the darker levels, people that like hold you deeply to the past, they deeply hold you to the past. I find that very depressing, but I don't know how. I shouldn't have said that right there. That would be a slip up. I don't know how else to show them. I mean, the technologies to beat these depressions have been around for a while. But the same thing is, like, as a male, you get the same treatment. You get, like, actions speak louder than words. And responsibility, the true power is to show responsibility and all this stuff. And it's like, but if you look, there's people that like you would never even see or meet in person who have control over resources that makes things so depressing. Like the argument that humans a lot of times are projected and just pushed into this unnatural in life. Unnatural. Unnatural selection, unnatural whatever. Just something off. Just something not working out. I don't know how to explain it. You kind of just, like, I'm waiting to see kind of what God is thinking about. I want to get that space to even get God in this video. God, you want God be on this video with me, Like, what's something that's good and bright and God can see it as good. So like as a man, it's not, it's really, I can honestly say it's not about just being the next person up there to diss, to come back and be unimpressive in the whole MGTOW movement and just be like, I'm coming right back with a good batch of things, and my opinion is to strike back. Now, maybe I would say that if I had a negative batch of things going on, which is not 100% my fault. I mean, but just something about the subtleties of business. When you have like commodities like food, entertainment, anything, and it's being exchanged and bought and sold, not even just workers, but just anything that gives you some kind of power. It's this huge peeing contest of like politics that you even dabble with that energy. These politicians know who you are or anything of that energy. You already kind of can predict, like, it's going to be a massive power struggle, and there's nothing else. I don't know what God's going to do next, because I am a believer in God. I've seen it happen. I've seen things that are above my understanding, where there's just a higher power that tends to just kind of protect me. I've seen this over and over again, and that is, the more cliche things get and stuff, and just gets like cliche. Be a good person, obviously. Be nice to everyone, obviously. Everyone knows that, and as long as we're all having that conversation, like, you do the right thing in life, like, do the right thing, and everyone knows that. That's just a simple realization of a mind control grid in America. Like, people be on like massive Jezebel spells, and men who are just massive, like, I mean, you know, I love my dad. He's awesome. Just I don't know how to explain. Um, I did, you know, a few psychedelics back in the day. I do not suggest you just do them. You know, it's not about just doing them. But I happen to get into shrooms a little bit, and it did massively beat my depression, but I still have this cosmic giggle where I can in fact see that all of reality is like this awesome thing, and like look around me. This is all like an adventure fairy tale land, and that got me in a lot of trouble. It got me into a lot of attacks and a lot of, like, I can't even begin to describe. It could be anyone. So when I go out in public, oh, coincidences all over the place. You never know who's someone next to you, is someone invested. You never know. When someone's not thinking on the same level as God, or something along the lines of following up the next thing God might have you do. Like right now, it's working out. Right when I came up with that idea, they gave me some new shots, some new thing, and I just kind of take the medicine that I have to so I don't go to jail. And that's the only reason why I'm even out here, is because I agreed to take that medicine to get me depressed. So I'm trying to fight it, actually, with lifting weights. I'm fighting back on the medication. I'm lifting weights. So I'm going to beat the depression. But then it's like, then they come up, like, there's nothing, you recognize these patterns and movements. I don't know how to explain how, there are actual ways. There's science. It's not just about drugs, but there's also machines and the vibrational stuff. It doesn't take any substance absorbing into your bloodstream even. It just puts off a wave or an energy that just goes like this around your brain wave and gets you happy. Now, these things do work, and some of them are secrets in plain sight. Even on YouTube has secrets, for example. YouTube is a treasure trove of secrets. It's always the attackers who will, you're not supposed to like know it full picture, how 12 hertz frequency, 10 hertz frequency basically can get you in depression and end the waves of depression and basically send to the brain. But it's like, the second you get on there, it goes, advertisement, ad, and it's most likely someone who has more, it's a power struggle over what you know about how it ends depression, which is going to be the only way they could get you to cause more depression, because they don't like the lower classes than them. I try to show as much respect as I possibly can when I meet someone from upper class, because I don't know what they know. They have power that is beyond my comprehension. But when they look at like lower class, they're like, please, they should feel bad for wanting any wealth. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's nothing else to say with that stuff. You know, and it's all love and stuff. It just, each thing leads towards, so like, I'm listening to 639 hertz right here, and you know, it puts off that energy. It helps, it eases with endorphins and works, and it feels good after a workout. I'm drinking, you know, I took some vitamins, all kind. I mean, it's like the main thing is commodity and trade of business. People fight too hard over it, and they won't say this, but just that thought form of you even knowing the message of like what humans would really be up to is what annoys the heck out of someone that's thinking on like a robotic agenda. There's nothing, they'll just be saying the same thing as everyone else. There's nothing else to say. Picture like Terminator in the movies. Like what does it eventually come to? I find this very cheesy and very corny that people would think of things like this. You know, so it's fun. There are technologies that are in plain sight, but to get into them, to fully understand vegetarianism, is to know of like coincidences when you don't just go out. You have to order like certain foods, certain things, because people will mess it up. If you say, hi, I'm vegetarian, they'll be like, what? And just slop on some meat on there because you said vegetarian. You don't know if they're offended or what, that you said you're vegetarian or something. So it just begins like that. Like, well, whew, I just asked for vegetarian, they do the opposite. Because people don't understand vegetarian. They don't understand why you want plants only. They don't agree. They don't want you eating plants only. It's like, you know, and I even include meat because I realize like there's things, I'll be walking and I feel like so I realize like I still need to get calcium and things like this. I still need to like very occasionally come around and have some meat if I'm going to live. but I want to have a base of just mostly plants where I can be much more friendly, and because plants like connect to your mind with the live enzymes to make your mind come alive, and then your soul tends to gravitate and rest in between your eyes somewhere a lot more. And if you notice, there is no space for this to happen. Currently with humanity, there is no space that allows this to really happen anymore. This is how the good guys think. Is everything aside for a second, what everyone says, I'm with peace. I like to keep the peace. I don't just randomly attack people for no reason at all. For no reason at all. You know, I make assumptions and stuff, but I don't know what to think of high upper class people as someone that was like stuck in between somewhere in middle class. That itself, the way to this day, everyone just wants to like download heavily. They view like the fact that my subconscious can be influenced as like a massive warfare. Like that defeats the entire purpose of me doing what I do to create the peace. And so then it turns off into like this darker thing where until some people change what their core values are, there's nothing else we can say. It's just going to keep on getting more robotic. And as long as there's not the human thought form there, like meat, I can't have meat. They'll get any little way to give you, can't go without meat. You know, you get much more friendly and stuff. What can they easily use? How like, oh, your vegetarianism like attracts like females or something is why they're angry now or something, because the meats gravitate towards, depending on the kill, it is a piece of information of something. And once you know that like information is digested also through foods and it speaks a message each and every type of food, then that's like a key to happiness, because then you can eat like broccoli with a little bit of cheese for the calcium, but the broccoli has the live enzymes to keep your soul awake, to keep your soul alive. And this goes right along hand in hand with caffeine, and it becomes easy to beat depression. But like, it's always people invading your space big time with like these mean, cruel things that destroys what you came up with as an idea. And there's nothing else you can really I could sit here all day and install like, you do this, and this. They won't, like, you'd assume they'll just think of it different and go back into these attacks. There's nothing else to say. So like, it's really going to be up to God at this point, because I'm going to stay vegetarian and all this stuff, but that's what annoys people, is how like I'm thinking on the same level as plants and stuff like that. And I'm trying to do these things, and they what, you're going to like tackle someone or something, you know, they just think of things like, or like if someone's channel I don't like, if someone I don't agree with, you don't see me all day just going through their stuff, just clear, like, for example, like if you put up information online, I don't view that as an easy loss for you, because then I can stalk you and I can prey on you through media. Like, how do you explain it with people that think of it like that? Like, if you don't like my stuff, then why? It's like, well, I know, but just, if it's chill, but like, they'll just, instead they pray over it and they just hunt you down in this jungle. And you look on like media sources, even, it says like, yes, like, it has this random notion of like, it's a brutal world out there, and once you surrender to the brutal, and it's true, it makes you realize a lot of things about life, just realize a lot of it's just brutal. But does it have to be, is the plant's message of the plant. When people eat plants more often, or always mix in plants, or anything among plants, a lot of times the plants tend to communicate these deep inner teacher messages to the human mind. They're like, do we have to have these fights? Is what the plants randomly suggest. Yeah, like I've noticed it's very sneaky to get people to admit this. It's very true. When you eat like it depends on what it is and what the kill was in the beef, because it goes back to a dead animal. That's what the information is. It's just a way of, my theory is that this is all programming. But you gravitate towards getting pissed off a lot easier when you've eaten beef. Probably because the animal was abused or tortured a lot of times. So you get the same emotions from think about it. Just realize that the beef probably is the information you're putting. This monster is not the best. There's something they're doing. It's good. It's good. I promote Monster. My thoughts on are like, it's great that they have real there's a reason I mess with Monster. It has a little bit of ginseng, a little bit of real sugar. It just has sugar. It doesn't have high fructose corn syrup. It just has sugar. Like, okay, wow. At least I can just have sugar and not high fructose corn syrup. Like, you never know. So I just slowly navigate this world through plants and different things to keep myself friendly enough to be able to navigate the next interaction. Now, the nicest, realest of females will always be attracted towards that type of talk. But unfortunately, think of like a cow just being thrown around. Like, that's like the information. That's like randomly how it connects, you know? So it's not even, it took me like 4 years. It took me like 4 years to stop eating meat. It was that addictive. I couldn't, like, my body was just screaming for meat, and finally I was able to cut it off for the most part. Then every conversation I ever had on the plants put me into institutions, convinced me I was crazy. So I don't know, like, it's like you just kind of, yeah, that's pretty much the information. It's like, that's people's sense of abundance. You know, plants are like the way. Plants tend to like be alive enough to understand your mind, amplify your mind, to allow your soul to float and navigate. They just want to like capture and kill the next thing. It just gets into when are they going to do this to humans, you know? There's nothing else to say. You know, there's nothing else to say as long as every little influence's culture is the same exact thing. I don't know how to explain how anything would ever change. It must be up to God at this point, but it's like, unfortunately, stubborn people think of it as like there is no such thing as a peaceful revolution. That's how they think of it. And once they decided that there's no such thing as a peaceful revolution, that it must be in fact war, then I don't know what, then I'm like, oh no. They think of it like that. I mean, go vegetarian if you're smart enough, you know? If you can comprehend that message, then at least dabble. Just think of it like 1 day a week, 2 days a week. You know, it ain't about this boss struggle, who gets to decide things. It ain't about that with plants. It's more about just like, what can you do for the next... most plants have a message to them, and they tend to gravitate towards something. You could actually find out exactly what the plant is saying if you get it good enough. And see the whole game there? Yeah.